What up, everybody? It's Lewis and Joel, 2/3 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Quixote, the big dog, the producer, is on vacation, so shout out to him. But it's going to be the administrator and Joe Stradamus holding it down for this edition of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. We are on episode 132.
I think so.
132. Yeah, I'm really losing count, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to bring out the birthday cake once we reach 150.
Yeah, for sure. We got to start celebrating our wins out here.
I know, right? Well, we're gonna jump right into it. So, Backlash was last weekend, and shout out to Joe Stradamus. He gave his detailed reaction on social media of what he thought of the PLE, and we can go a little more in depth. I'll be the first to say I didn't see the PLE. I just caught the highlights, but I think unanimously, almost unanimously across the board, the fans really enjoyed Backlash. It seems like WWE allocated more time for the matches, and it almost came across like, from what I'm gathering, a nice restart or reset of a PLE for WWE storylines and angles going forward. So, Joe, man, what you think? What do you think of Backlash?
Yeah, man, I gave it a solid B. I think this is actually one of their better premium live events that they've had in some time. Definitely better than WrestleMania. Both nights of WrestleMania combined, I would say this is a better show, just because, like you mentioned, they had the match time were actually given. I don't think there was a match shorter than like 12 minutes. So like they actually were giving their wrestlers the time to shine and actually wrestle. So I really enjoyed Roman and Jacob Fatu. I thought that was a great match. I enjoyed Io versus Asuka. I think that was my match of the night. And then every other match as well. I mean, Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins had a pretty good match. There was definitely some hiccups here and there, but I think that's just what happens when you have these wrestlers that don't get to wrestle often, so there's going to be some mess ups in the ring every now and then. And then Sami Zayn and Trick Williams, they put on a good match. Shout out to Lil Yachty, man. Lil Yachty is he's slowly becoming, besides Bad Bunny, I think he's becoming my favorite celebrity involvement so far, because he doesn't go too far with it. He's not like knocking people out. He's not doing like finishing moves or anything. He's literally just a manager who gets beat up. He does his job. He gives Trick Williams like an extra aura that Trick Williams, just being around a star, being around a Grammy nominated rapper, it just makes him seem more legit. So that's a really cool thing. And I think he's playing his part perfectly. And he seems like he's really involved. Like he's there on every random SmackDown in like these random towns. He's going to these random towns to be there. He definitely doesn't have to be doing that as a celebrity, but he's doing it. So shout out to Lil Yachty. And then the controversial match, I guess, was the Danhausen tag team match versus Kit Wilson and Miz with his mystery partner.
Minihausen.
And I gotta say, I'm not the biggest Danhausen fan. I don't really get it as much as like the rest of the fan base seems to be loving it. Yeah. But I kind of enjoyed this match for what it was. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought Minihausen actually put on a good show. I think the rumor is that it's the same person who played El Torito. So
you brought it back.
That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's been confirmed. But supposedly that is the same person that played El Torito. So he does have a lucha background, and he was able to show off some of that. He was doing hurricanranas and all types of shit. And it was entertaining for what it was. You could tell that the crowd was a little bit flat at first because they expected like a star to be his tag partner. Because, we had rumors of CM Punk being his tag partner, or like, anybody. John Cena was even rumored. And then it ended up being Minihausen. So you could tell at first the crowd was like, damn. But then as the match started and Minihausen was able to put on his moves, the crowd got into it and they enjoyed it by the end of the night. And that's what it's all about, enjoyment. So I would say, like I said, solid B for the show overall. I think this is a good change of pace for WWE if they continue to have PLEs where the matches actually get time and it's more matches and advertisements, then I could see things. I could see the online discourse changing more in their favor, because as we know, after WrestleMania, most people were talking about how bad the ads were more than the actual wrestling that happened at WrestleMania.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it, folks. Joe Stradamus gives it a letter grade of a B. And some of the things that stood out to me from like reading the results and all of that were well, of course, Minihausen, right? It's like I can't say that I was disappointed per se, because Danhausen is you're never gonna see him in the main event of WrestleMania. He's not gonna win the Royal Rumble. He's there, like you said, Joel, to entertain the fans. I'm personally not, I'm not crazy about it, but I understand it. Like the kids love the whole gimmick. It's a recipe for excellent merchandise sales for the summer. Um, you know, he's there, and we just gotta put up with it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to touch on another thing that I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was the Jacob Fatu,
Yeah.
and how he stood tall over Roman Reigns, and it pretty much reaffirmed what we were suspecting, that this wasn't going to be a one and done, and they were going to continue the rivalry.
Yeah.
But do you think that there's a possibility that Jacob Fatu will get the strap in the next match, or are they just going to make him look like a really credible foe for Roman Reigns? And then, he'll eventually just fall to the tribal chief.
I think this is going all the way to SummerSlam. I don't think this is
The
just
Jacob Fatu thing all the way to SummerSlam?
Yeah,
Whoa.
because what we have, the next match is going to be at Clash at Italy,
Yeah.
which is at the end of this month, really fast. But then I feel like it seems like with the amount of damage Jacob Fatu is doing to Roman Reigns and to the bloodline, he's attacking the Usos, attacking Roman. This feels like it needs a big, like, third stipulation style match, maybe like a Hell in a Cell or something. So like
I can see that.
I could see it being like the big blow off matches at SummerSlam. I don't know if Jacob gets the strap. It feels like you kind of have to give it to him just to legitimize him, right? Like this is like he can't just beat up Roman every week and then lose the match whenever they actually have the match. Like he's kicking Roman's ass every single Raw. He is kicking Roman's ass. He's throwing him through tables. He's putting the Tongan death grip on him. He knocked out all three of them this week on Raw. He knocked out the Usos, knocked out Roman Reigns, threw them through the barricade. Like like you said, at the end of Backlash, he was the one that walked out on his own 2 feet. Roman was still struggling after that match, and Roman just survived that match. He had to use the turnbuckle. He had to use the exposed turnbuckle to get the win. I think they're telling a story of Jacob Fatu might be the one who could finally dethrone Roman from the family. Like, and it's an interesting story to tell, because with the whole bloodline thing, we had the Jey Uso trying to step up when the bloodline first popped off during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And Jey Uso tried to step up and he quickly got choked out. Same thing with Jimmy Uso, got choked out. And they all kind of fell in line. And this is the first person who is not falling in line. Like Jacob Fatu is like, I don't give a damn about this family. I don't give a damn about the bloodline. I want what's mine, what he thinks is his. So it's a really interesting story. I think they're telling like almost like what happens when the tribal chief meets someone who won't like listen to him anymore type story. So like it's like I said this to a friend of mine earlier this week. It's like the tribal chief versus the mad chief. Like that's what Jacob Fatu is. Like he is the mad king, and if he gets that strap, he might rule the family, but in a whole different way. and that could be the way that you get Roman Reigns into like a full babyface mode where he needs to like save his family from the crazy chief or whatever, you know. So I think
Yeah.
so like I don't know, but I just have a feeling that this story is gonna go a lot longer than just the next match. Like I just feel like it's gonna be Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns headlining SummerSlam in maybe a Hell in a Cell, Last Man Standing, some type of match like that. At least that's what I'm getting right now. We'll see what happens at Clash of Italy, but as of right now, it seems like Jacob Fatu is heading for headlining SummerSlam, in my opinion.
I respect that opinion. I like that take. And now that you put it into perspective, that can create a really compelling chief versus chief dynamic. You know, like you said, the tribal chief versus the mad chief or the mad king.
Yeah.
I think Roman's availability is going to dictate where all of this goes because he's already got all his confirmed and announced dates where he's appearing for the foreseeable future, but it ends somewhere around late June, I believe. So that's not necessarily confirming when he's going to disappear again, but that might give us an indication of what his time frame is going to be as far as his TV appearances this summer. And since SummerSlam is that first week of August, you know that might be a foregone conclusion. We got to start entertaining that possibility. Like maybe he actually does drop the title at SummerSlam and rides off into the sunset and takes time off and then comes back whenever he comes back. Yeah. So yeah, definitely interesting stuff. They're planting some good seeds there with that feud. I actually think it's my I think it's my favorite angle right now in WWE. Yeah. Unless I can't really think of anything else. The Sami Zayn and Trick Williams, that's pretty good. But I'm thinking like for like big storylines, that might be my favorite one at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think an interesting like theme of Backlash as well, now that I'm thinking about it, is like it was kind of like the old guard versus the new guard in every match. Like you had Braun Breaker go over Seth Rollins, you had Trick Williams go over Sami Zayn, you had Io Sky go over Asuka, and then in the main event you had Roman Reigns won the match, but Jacob Fatu definitely won the battle, right? And he seemed like he was standing tall at the end of that match. So it's almost like it's their WWE. If you pay attention to WWE, they kind of tell you where they're heading, right? So they're giving us the hints like, yo, these are the new main eventers here: Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, Jacob Fatu, Boba Femi's waiting in line. Like these guys are gonna be the main event for the next foreseeable future. So this might be, like you said, like this might be the year where Roman might drop that belt and go away for a couple months, like depending on his schedule, come back, win it back if he needs to. But I could totally see them heating up Jacob Fatu to the point where maybe he does win it at Clash of Italy and then Roman takes a break, comes back at SummerSlam, gets it back, something like that. But I think we're going to see a lot of title. I don't think we're going to have those long title reigns that we had for a long time in WWE anymore. I think we're going to see a lot more title switches happening just because they need to build these new stars, like especially with all the talent cuts they're doing. Like they need to build these new stars in order to sell a WrestleMania next year or 2 years from now when it's back in the States. Because you saw that the WrestleMania had low ticket sales. Yeah. So they're probably thinking in their office, like, we got to build new stars as soon as possible. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob Fatu is world champion by the end of the summer.
You brought up something interesting with the selling point for WrestleMania. I know that was killing and hurting TKO because they're all about the profit. They're all about the dollar. And I know that stung like a motherfucker when they couldn't sell out both nights of WrestleMania or even come close to it at Allegiant Stadium. I mean, they did a 50,000+ for each night. They should be able to sell way more tickets and fill a stadium of that capacity with WWE's brand name. They should be able to, do 70-something, 80-something thousand easy. So in order to rectify and steer the boat right in the back in the right direction, they're gonna have to really prioritize those new stars, build those new stars, because then come Royal Rumble season and the next road to WrestleMania, you have all of these fresh faces, and they've been presented for the past 7 months as legit main eventers or title holders. So you won't have to work as hard for WrestleMania. You won't have to rely on guys like CM Punk and Roman Reigns as much, because they're older, and wrestling is a cycle. You have to go back to starting from scratch, rebooting, resetting, whatever you want to call it, and building new stars. I mean, we've seen it over the decades, right? So after the 80s, after Hogan and Macho Man, you had to start building towards the new generation. So Bret the Hitman Hart, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Then after that, with the Attitude Era, Stone Cold, The Rock, Ruthless Aggression. It's just everything is a progression, but you have to build new stars within that progression, because otherwise you're going to find yourself in a rut where you're picking up the phone or texting or sending an email to yesteryear's star like, hey, we need you for an appearance, even if it's for like a one-night thing or a 3-week program. So,
for sure.
Time will tell to see where they go with this, but I definitely agree. They need to keep their foot on the gas pedal, so to speak, to build these new stars. But speaking of old and new stars, pro wrestling, passing the torch, creating this and that, blah, 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 blah. Sports Illustrated came out with a very interesting list. And what's the most interesting thing about this top list is that it has both current stars and stars of yesteryear. But Sports Illustrated recently released a greatest WWE wrestlers of all time list. So this includes people from the Attitude Era, the golden era of the 80s, the new generation of like the early to mid 90s, the Ruthless Aggression, even the PG era, even currently. So let's get into it, Joe Shadamas, because it's an interesting list, and I gotta say, reading the list, I agreed with a good portion of it, but there were some question marks there. So we'll just go from number 20 to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So number 20, the man, Becky Lynch. Number 19, the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Number 18, Y2J, Chris Jericho. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. Number 17, CM Punk. Number 16, Andre the Giant. Number 15, Randy Orton. Number 14, Edge, the rated R superstar, Adam Copeland, Edge. Number 13, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Number 12, Kurt Angle. Number 11, Macho Man Randy Savage. So now we entered the top 10, my friend. Top 10, number 10, Bruno Sammartino. Number 9, Bret the Hitman Hart. Number 8, HBK, Shawn Michaels. Number 7, Triple H. Number 6, The Phenom, The Undertaker. Now we get into the top 5. According to Sports Illustrated, these are the top 5 WWE wrestlers of all time. Number 5 is your OTC Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. Number 4, the GOAT, as they've been calling him over the past year or so, John Cena. And then your top 3, number 3, the People's Champ, the Great One, the Brahma Bull, The Rock. Number 2, the Immortal Hulk Hogan. And coming in at number 1, the one and only Stone Cold Steve Austin. So that is your top 20 WWE wrestlers of all time, according to Sports Illustrated. So what jumped out to me immediately, Joe, is the top 10 list mostly aligns with the top 10 list that we created here on the Mark Wrestling about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
For the most part. But what jumps out at you, Joe? What are we thinking here? Who would you substitute? Who's deserving? Would you change any rankings?
This is a pretty good list, honestly. But
it is. I got to admit, it is a pretty good list.
It's a good list. I think there's a couple people missing, but I'm trying to think who I would take out in order to slot them in. But I definitely think Eddie Guerrero should be in top 20.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I do think Eddie should be top 20. I would even put Rey Mysterio to a certain
good shout.
Now, here's the question, the $1 million question. Would you have Becky Lynch in the top 20 of all time? You know, given her accomplishments, I get where they're going with it, but I don't know. You leave out people like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero off that top 20. You even left out Batista. I don't know. Becky Lynch is a little questionable to me.
Yeah.
And again, that's not taking. I like Becky Lynch. I've always been a Becky Lynch fan. But top 20 of all time, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you put her as the only woman on the list, that means you're saying she's the best woman in WWE ever.
Right.
It's
a bold claim.
That's a bold claim. There is a conversation to be had. She is the first woman to main event WrestleMania, along with Charlotte and Ronda Rousey.
True.
She won both belts. Becky 2 belts. She did have the man run that was had the WWE on fire.
Yeah.
So I could see that. I guess you have to like kind of think about like what the criteria of the list was. It sounds to me like it was almost like popularity. It seems like just looking at like the list, because if you have Stone Cold, Hogan, The Rock, Cena, Reigns in your top 5, that almost seems like it's a popularity contest, like who was the most popular. But then you have deep cuts in here, like, you know, you got Roddy Piper and Randy Savage, who were never top of their industry, right? During their time. And you got Kurt Angle in there, who was also like wasn't a top star, right? He was a great worker, but he wasn't one of the top 2 stars during his time, you know? So like, it's almost, I kind of want to know what the criteria was.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think who I would take out in order to see. Like Bruno Sammartino means nothing to me because that is way before my time. I know that he's one of the best ever, and he held the championship for the longest ever.
Yeah.
But that was way before my time. So I feel like anything pre-Hogan shouldn't even be counted anymore, right? Like, come on, we can't count this anymore. Like,
oh man.
Even Hogan's cutting it. Like, like this is so old already that we can't even count this anymore. We can't put them on the same list. You can't have a Bruno Sammartino and a CM Punk on the same list. Like,
it's weird. I know it's weird.
That's like complete. That's like having like a top 20 NBA players and you're putting like Bob Cousy and Michael Jordan. like you can't put them. They're different eras, but. Man, I don't know. CM Punk number 17 is an interesting one to me.
That stood out to me
too. 10-year gap. Can you really call him one of the top 20 WWE wrestlers ever when he had a 10-year gap between his runs? Like,
I mean, if we're gonna go there, then does Eddie Guerrero really crack the top 20? Because as a top guy, Eddie Guerrero only had
that's true.
I don't know, a 2-year run, give or take. As top guy, like I maybe not even less than 2 years.
Yeah,
so
that's true. And even Austin and Rock, their runs weren't long. They were impactful, but they weren't long.
That's true. Stone Cold and The Rock did not have longevity. You know, I'm not going to be a revisionist in terms of wrestling history here. Rock's main event run as a full-time competitor was about 4 years. Stone Cold was about 5 years. So, those guys didn't have tremendous runs in terms of longevity. Same thing with Shawn Michaels too.
Yeah.
I
mean, Shawn had the benefit of coming back and having like a second GOAT run. Like,
yes,
he was already considered a great wrestler and then came back and had arguably an even better run. So, like, I do understand why he's there. I would put Shawn Michaels higher, honestly, but I think that's just my like worker bias where I tend to go for the people who are great in-ring workers. Man, Roddy Piper is an interesting one because I know he's one of the best promos ever, but he was never a WWE champion.
Nope.
He never was, he definitely had his time in the main event as like Hogan's foe and stuff like that, but he never was a champion. So like, it's interesting to put him in the top 20. I'm surprised we don't I know Ric Flair run was more WCW and NWA, but I'm surprised he's not in the top 20 just because of like his accomplishments over the years, right?
Yeah, and what we also have to consider is that this is WWE wrestlers of all time, not overall pro wrestlers, because Ric Flair was a glaring omission, but then I was like, wait a minute. He actually wasn't in WWE for a long time. He was there for a cup of tea, and that's it. He went right back to WCW. But the three that will always be top three to me, if you're talking legacy, star power, drawing ability, and just overall impact on the culture of sports entertainment and pro wrestling, it's always going to be Rock, Hogan, and Austin. Rock, Hogan, and Austin are like, you might as well call them the holy trinity of pro wrestling. And, you could maybe squeeze in Ric Flair there. But in terms of recognizable names in the history of WWE, even if you just remove pro wrestling, just WWE in general, those three names are always going to come out of somebody's mouth when you think of WWE. And you could make the argument for John Cena, obviously, because there was a whole generation that watched him, and he had such a long run at the top as the main eventer. So I don't think I would change that top three. Not at all. Maybe you feel different because Hogan might be throwing some people off, and I know people feel the way they feel about Hogan, but you cannot deny that Hogan is one of, if not the most recognizable name in the history of sports entertainment. So, like, there is no WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan. Sure, Vince McMahon, whatever, but as far as like the talent themselves, I mean, there is no WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was the WWF in the 80s. So that's why I would never change that top three as far as greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. How are we feeling about Roman Reigns, Joe Stradamus?
I was just thinking that because as you're mentioning, like, it kind of seems like this is like a star power list, right? Like, so Austin, Hogan, Rock, Cena, that all makes sense. But then I feel like Roman Reigns is not as big as a star as those other four ahead of him. So he's okay at number 5, but then I'm looking at further down the list, and I would say Andre the Giant is definitely more of a household name than Roman Reigns. Like, people know who Andre the Giant is just based off like lore, and like he was in The Princess Bride. Like, he had some, I guess, like Hollywood or star moments. Yeah. And he was just a giant, like, so like he's larger than life character. So I feel like I'm surprised he's higher than Andre the Giant. But I guess if you're thinking about like modern, who has been bigger than Roman Reigns? So that makes sense. Are you surprised that Cody Rhodes is not on this list yet, or is it too soon?
Ooh, Cody Rhodes.
I'm the biggest Cody hater in the game.
Look, he didn't even cross my mind. When I was reading this list, Cody Rhodes did not even cross my mind. Isn't that something? Because, like, everybody on this list has had a significant impact on the company. in some way, shape, or form. Some more than others, but if we're basing this on popularity and star power, I would think Cody Rhodes would make this list because when you evaluate the quote unquote star power of the people that's on this list, like take someone like Edge, for instance, or even Chris Jericho. Who else is on this list? Like, or even Randy Orton too. Those are guys who we know that they're future Hall of Famers. Some of them are already in the Hall of Fame, and we know their contributions to the WWE, and we know what their legacy is in WWE. But I'm curious about the criteria because how much of a draw, right, was Chris Jericho or Randy Orton or Edge, or even Kurt Angle. You made a good point. None of those guys were like the number one guy for the company at any given point. They were like a solid number 2, 3, 4 supporting member of the cast. But like, I love Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is in my top 5 of all time, possibly even top 3 of all time, my personal list. But Kurt Angle was never like the go-to guy at any point in the company's history. You know what I mean? Like, he was never like the number one. Like, yes, multi-time WWE champion, but during those times, and Kurt Angle's an interesting case too because he was one of the top guys during 2 eras, Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression. So during the Attitude Era, he was a great supporting member of that roster, but the top guys in 2000 and 2001 were Rock, Austin, Triple H, Undertaker. Like, those are pretty much your top guys. Yeah. Fast forward to Ruthless Aggression, he was like a solid number 2, 3 guy. But the Ruthless Aggression era, you had a lot of. There was never like I guess from 02 to 06, right before he went to TNA, you never had a number one guy, because even seen at that time, yes, they were grooming him to be number one, but you had Batista alongside him. Yeah. So I would love to know what the criteria is because it can't just be star power. Surely it can't just be that.
Yeah, and you mentioned Batista, and that is one name that I'm surprised is not on here.
Right.
Also,
you gonna tell me he didn't have a long run as a main eventer? He had like a good 5-year run on the top.
Yeah, and what do you think about Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins not being on this list.
That's another person that I would think would get some consideration.
Yeah,
Seth had a really Rollins long run. He's been the workhorse for the company. He's over. So what the hell is the criteria? Because Seth Rollins can outwork the majority of the people on this list. Yeah, and so I mean, you go tell me that Becky Lynch deserves the spot over Seth Rollins?
Now we're getting into the marital. The marital that caused a marital problem here. No, but that is interesting. You bring up Becky Lynch too, and I'm thinking, why does she get the spot over Charlotte when Charlotte is like a 14-time women's champion or something like that? Like, so is this list kayfabe? Is this list like, I don't know. We definitely need to like know what the criteria is here. But we could almost make a whole nother top 10 out of the people who they left out. Like we mentioned Batista, we mentioned Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Eddie Guerrero, Charlotte Flair. Like, there's a whole bunch of people that haven't, and I guess that's what's hard when you have to put it down to like just 20, right? I mean, we had trouble when it was just 10. So, and that was we were doing only men. So like, once you start trying to add the women involved, and then like your personal favorites too, like I'm a Jeff Hardy mark. Where's Jeff Hardy at, yo?
Yeah, you see?
Like, Jeff Hardy had a run. He had a run on top. So I don't know.
I think
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, Yeah, Bryan motherfucking Danielson.
Yeah, one of the most memorable WrestleManias in the modern era, I would say. WrestleMania 30. The yes chant was super over.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he could. I mean, he might deserve the spot over CM Punk.
Ooh, you're gonna ruffle some feathers online. So Bryan Danielson, according to Joe Shadamas, deserves.
I'm just saying.
deserves the top 20 spot over Phil Brooks. I don't know.
I mean, I always felt like Daniel Bryan was everything CM Punk claimed to be. Best in the world. That was Daniel Bryan beforehand.
Yeah,
actually could put in the work. Hey, he got the WrestleMania spot. He got to be champion. He got to main event WrestleMania way before CM Punk ever got to do that. So and he's had a whole second arc of his career in AEW. Like, in my opinion, Daniel Bryan is. I'm pretty sure. I think I put him as my number one when we did our list. Like, Bryan Danielson is my GOAT. I think CM Punk has always claimed to be the best in the world, but never really got that status, in my opinion.
Yeah, he never staked that claim with me personally. Like, a decade and a half ago, I was really into CM Punk. Like, I was really big into him, but it still never felt like he truly was the number one best in the world. But
I just realized no Brock Lesnar on this list.
Yo,
wait
crazy. A minute. What? Wait a minute. We don't have Brock That is so fucking crazy. You see, now that we're bringing more attention to this list, I feel like this conversation needs a sequel.
Yeah, this is nuts.
Yeah, when we get the trio back after all the double and nothing shenanigans and stuff like that, we have to revisit this list because this is some crazy shit. Now that you brought up Brock Lesnar, so like you gonna tell me Brock Lesnar is not top 20 WWE stars of all time, and he checks off all the boxes: worker, in-ring performer, title reigns, main events at WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, and
everything.
People go out of their way to see this man.
I'm sorry, but I think Brock Lesnar deserves a top 20 spot over Roddy Piper.
Yo,
I'm sorry.
You might be right, man.
But it's like, come on.
You might be right.
That's crazy. And like, I'm not even like the biggest Brock Lesnar fan. I loved Ruthless Aggression Brock Lesnar. That's my favorite Brock Lesnar. Yeah. But like, you can't deny he beat the Undertaker streak. He main evented WrestleMania multiple times, multi-time WWE champion, world champion. Had the same thing as Shawn Michaels, where arguably he had a second run that was better than his first run.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how he doesn't make this top 20. That's kind of crazy.
I think these sites and these publications, they have to start defining what their criteria is. Yeah. And it's every company and every site or whatever, they're gonna have their own lists, and there's no such thing as a right or wrong list, right? Because we're all giving our opinions and how we would structure the list based on our perspectives and things like that. But I think it would be good for the fans or the readers that are looking at these lists to know the context behind what were the deciding factors. Like, why did you place this person at number 3? Or why did this person not make the top 10, and so on and so forth? Because that's like a huge question mark. And mind you, this is only Sports Illustrated. There's other lists out there. ESPN has one, Bleacher Report has one. Then of course you have the PWI 500. Like, how do they determine that? They got to decide on 500 top tier wrestlers every year. So this is definitely to be continued, my friend.
For sure. But I would love to hear.
It's always a good topic.
I would love to hear from our fans as well in the comments what they think of this list, who they think is in their top 20 or top 10, whatever you would want to boil the number down to. But I definitely want to. And if we didn't mention any omissions that we should have, I'm sure there's other people that people are like, what the hell? Why isn't freaking Eugene in the top 20?
Eugene, damn.
Why isn't Rob Van Dam in the top 20?
That's sure, another guy. Like,
sure there's a bunch of
Rob
people.
Van Dam.
You brought up Rey Mysterio, and that's a great one. I think just from luchador standpoint, arguably the most famous luchador ever. Definitely the most famous WWE luchador ever. And he had a run as the world champion, won the Royal Rumble. Yeah, like he definitely has his claim to fame as well. So, and longevity, he's still doing it. Like,
yeah, yep.
So, yeah, very interesting list. I'm down to revisit this once Coyote comes back for sure.
Absolutely. I think we should take it upon ourselves when we reunite in New York City and we're attending Double or Nothing or we're out and about. Let's just start interviewing people on this particular list, or just ask them, like, right off the top of your head, who would be in your top 3 of all time? And then I would just love to get the feedback. Like, we can interview younger fans, older fans, because the opinions are going to vary. But yeah, that'll be something to look forward to
for sure.
But yeah, that wraps up this episode of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. You can catch us 3 gentlemen in New York next weekend, Memorial Day weekend. We will be in attendance for AEW's second biggest show of the year, Double or Nothing, and that card is, oh man, I'm so hyped that they're bringing back Stadium Stampede. Yes. I mentioned on the previous episode, Coyote and I will be in the house for the House of Glory event, Waging War.
Nice.
You're gonna have the Hardys, Yachty, Jacob Fatu has been confirmed. So it should be a fun pro wrestling weekend. And you got Saturday night's main event that Saturday too. So hopefully we can catch a watch party or something. But yeah, man. Everybody be well. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and of course, Instagram. We appreciate all the support, and we look forward to engaging with all of you fans in the near future.
Peace.
Be well, everybody. Peace out.